Hey everyone, Ayubowan, Vanakkam, Assalamu alaikum. We're joining back from the special podcast series EPIGS 25. So we have the pleasure in talking to Carolina Ohms from Brazil. Hi!
Hi.
More than me saying who's Carolina, I'd like to ask who is Carolina first of all.
Well, I'm a journalist who's been turned entrepreneur and social entrepreneur by force of the market. I'm a founder of a digital feminist media in Brazil, and right now I am the director of the recently created Brazilian Journalist Fund, which aims to support up to 15 local news organizations in Brazil this year.
Great. So since we're in this EPIGS summit, would like to ask where does Brazil stands when we talk about information integrity?
Well, since way before we think of fake news and disinformation as a problem, Brazil has always had a very concentrated media ecosystem. And before the internet, we only had like one big monopoly, basically. So when the internet came, we were one of the countries who thought, well, this is our chance. We will finally be able to distribute news, even if we don't have a major TV or a major newspaper. And for couple of years, that did work, but it was just a brief moment, and then platforms took control of the public sphere and the public debate. And right now, journalism is facing issues similar to everywhere in the world. We do have a lot of fake news going on. We do have a lot of deep fakes. We do have a lot of disinformation, polarization, and like everyone else, we're still trying to figure out how to deal with this.
And since you said that there is a lot of misnews and misinformation which is rolling around, would like to ask, is there a governmental a legislation done on this concern?
No, there have been some issues. I'm not sure the word in English. There have been some justice courts making decisions around this, but uh, they don't really follow a pattern. So it's very common for a Brazilian journalist to be persecuted by law, and politicians will use this against you. Brazil is a very huge country, so they will use strategies like they will persecute you in different states of Brazil. So to defend yourself, you would have to travel to all of those states, and this alone would cost you so much. It would break you emotionally and financially. So the laws, it sells, they haven't changed much, but they have been used not in a good way against journalists for a very long time. We do have a very interesting and a civil law for internet. It's called Marco Civil of the Internet. And right now we are also trying to pass on laws on platform monopolies and oligopolies, and intelligence, artificial intelligence. But this is not done in the Congress. It's passing through.
And since when talking about this summit, what do you feel about EPIG Summit in participating for it?
Well, this is my first time. I'm very happy to be here. I have already met with a few colleagues that are interested in creating journalism funds in their country. The integrity of information is an issue everywhere, and journalism is one of the main ways to ensure that and to ensure democracy. So I'm very happy to exchange on strategies and things we have in common and how we can act together to improve our ecosystem.
And what do you hope to take back to your country from this summit?
Well, a Santan. uh, but of course, it's also always sunny in Brazil, of course. But I do hope to get to know your beaches. But I hope to form partnerships in the long term and in the short term to think about global self actions against technology monopoly, against platform absence of freedom of speech, and collaborative technologies from the global south to improve information integrity.
And my final question, there's a lot of violence which has been happening in online platforms. Where shall we put the full stop for it? What is your point of view?
Well, we cannot even begin to understand how big an issue we have because we don't have full access to the data and to platforms' algorithms, even though most of the public debate is going on those platforms. These spaces are privatized by big techs. So when organizations like Brazilian journalistic or data and or research organizations try to access those data and understand what exactly is going on, they can't. They can't access data. They can't. Politicians being accused can't access who is accusing them, who is promoting violence. So the first thing we would need to do is transparency, accountability, and then we will maybe put an end to that. But so far, there's not much to be done if we can't even take a real good look at the problem.
Thank you for joining with Her TV.
Thank you.